Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering Redemptor, chapters 17 through 21. In these chapters, Tarisai finally comes clean about her actual memories. And we get a close encounter with the crocodile, who is unmasked for the first time. Welcome to Unspoiled.
Akabiole, wunde sa mina walio. Akabiole, wunde sa mina walio. Wunde sana, wunde sa mina walio. Akabiole, wunde sa mina walio. Akabiole, wunde sa mina walio. Wunde sana.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm Rashawn.
All right. We got some eventful chapters here. This book really moves.
I have to say, I'm going to come out right out of the gate, coming in hot. It's very, very rare that I'm like, shit, I wish we had broke the chapters up differently. But I said that this time to myself. But I will I'll tell you why. It's because when we get to, I think it's like chapter 18, where she runs into Zuri, right? It has a little encounter with him. I was reading that and I said, that motherfucker is the crocodile. And I was so excited to share my theory with you guys to see if like I was crazy or not. But then we get confirmation in the same like podcast episodes. I was like, God damn it, they're not gonna know that I figured it out before it was revealed. Because I did.
I believe you.
Oh shit.
Was it his armband that gave it away?
No, it was just his energy, the way he was talking to her, and it just like you know how you make like connections and you're not really aware the connections are happening, and all of a sudden it was crystal clear. I had the same thing too at the chapter 17 with Minya. I was like, her ray's not working because she's not being truthful. And then but this chapter opens up with her ending up telling the whole truth because Minya is just like, look, I gotta go.
Yeah.
This isn't working. You're great and all, but I gotta get home.
Yeah.
Also, real quick, Patrick is in a chat with a little shade, y'all, talking about a mere 20-minute pre-chat, a new record.
Guilty. Yeah, for those who are listening to this and not most of you, not on the old Ray, what was I going to say? Ray Bear Crowdcast, that's the one. Rashawn and I have not been able to get Zencaster to work. So the sound for this episode is going to be ripped from Crowdcast. So if it is not up to its usual quality, I apologize. For example, Rashawn just coughed and I can normally cut that. But we're going to be on the same track and I won't be able to cut things if I'm also talking when she does a thing. So, if everybody is just like, why is this episode so like noisy or too much tenor? That's why. So just FYI.
I'm sorry, guys.
I get a lot of complaints about tenor. It's not true at all. Millions of emails from our billions of listeners around the world. I actually have a separate email just for those complaints.
Just for the tenor complaints?
People are precious about it.
I could see how that would be a very hot topic.
Patrick says you called it last time, though, that the crocodile seemed familiar.
Couldn't put my finger on it. And like apparently my brain was just working on it all this time. I didn't realize it was. And then
you pointed out the armband and we're like, what is that? Why is that ringing a bell? And it's because his was mentioned at the dance.
It's all happening.
Yep.
And so, yeah, they were together talking and she mentions to the cuff, the armband, in this time when they interact. And I don't know, but all of a sudden I was just like, it's him. But then I was like, I'm being crazy. So then when the crocodile shows up and he's in a mask, I'm like, all right, that's right. He's in a mask. We don't know what it looks like. And then putting it all together. And then we get the reveal. And I felt super satisfied. But also now, I don't know.
What do you mean? You don't know
What
what?
what I mean is, like, where does she go from here?
Mm.
With knowing who he is, he's revealed his identity to her. She still needs a counsel. Do you invite the crocodile to be on your council? Do you anoint the crocodile? That seems like you can't really do that. What does she do instead? Like,
He takes his mask off like on the street too. Like, did other people see?
I mean,
It's unclear.
I assumed he sort of, because he kind of like wings in like Tarzan and scoops her up and then swings back out of frame. So I assume they landed like somewhere that's semi private. You know?
Okay.
But there's
Fair.
a lot of revelations in these chapters. A lot of shit has been going on. I guess we just start at the beginning.
Yeah, let's do that. All right. So we have the chapter 17, which is just her talking about all the ways that she is editing her memories.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what she's doing is making it so that she doesn't really have like agency in a lot of situations. She hasn't got memories of things happening, or she has no control over herself, over whatever. And like, to a degree that still is true, but she is also erasing like the things that she finds sort of humiliating about the way she felt towards her mother and how desperately she wanted to make things work with Dio and ignored the danger that she posed. And, you know, I had said how frustrating it was to me that she took so much responsibility for his like stabbing when she was not in control of herself. But the fact that she chose to stay and be on his council and, you know, make herself forget instead, that was a choice that she could have just not made. So fair.
Yeah.
And all of this is like, it's all adding up to multiple attempts to use the ray on these people, and they all wind up in total pain and it doesn't work out. And she is getting really frustrated by the fact that she's not connecting with them. And the OGG are like stepping it up.
They
with
really
harassing
are.
her.
It is the OGG are becoming more and more difficult for me to tolerate as a reader.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think that is actually a compliment to the writer, to the author, because she is really, and also like where I happen to be personally, but I don't think I'm the only one. Like you said, you agree, and I feel like a lot of people may have this sort of response to it. They're like a personification of intrusive thoughts, right? They are attacking her. They are so loud. They are so persistent. They catch her in moments. Before, it was moments where it seemed like she wasn't, anytime she started to think about anything other than her purpose of going to the underworld to redeem these children, right? They show up. But now it's like anytime her brain, you know,
starts to relax,
starts to think about other things, here they are. And it's like kind of triggering to read it because it's such a good description of what it is like when you are trying to go about your day and accomplish what the things you need to do during the course of your day as a person. And these thoughts come out of nowhere. And generally they are thoughts that are telling you that you're not good enough, you're not doing a good enough job, you're a terrible person, you're going to fail, like whatever sort of, you know, negativity, you know, and that she's then
or that you can get those weird ones where it's just like, I wonder if I could break that keyboard. I should try it. I should break the keyboard in half. Why don't I try that?
You have those? I don't ever talk about those.
Tons.
Yeah, I get those.
I will be like cutting vegetables and do the like, I could cut through my whole fucking hand.
I could just take this finger off. Take this finger off real quick. Yeah.
Just do it. Just do it. Kitchen shears. Almost wouldn't even notice. Probably, maybe. Who knows? Probably wouldn't be nothing. It would be nothing. Just want to know.
Yeah. Just
want to try. Why? I don't know.
Wow. We've never talked about those. We'll have to do that sometime off another time. But yeah. But and so they have grown. I don't know if stronger is the right word, but it feels like stronger. They're like all around her all the time now.
Yeah.
You know?
And they're starting to cause headaches, which that's a particular thing for me, having gone through a lot of migraines, and hearing her talk about her constant headaches is like weirdly agonizing, considering I don't know what it is, if it's just that it's combined with the OGG, but I have read other books where a person is suffering from headaches and it doesn't really like quite feel viscerally painful to read.
Right.
And this, it does. It's like difficult to read. So again, it's bad, but also compliment to the writer.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The, also, we get a couple of different times, different people mention it. I think Dio says it. One of her other council members says it. She looks like someone who is not resting. She doesn't look, Tarisai does not look well. Yeah. She looks sick. She's tired. People keep remarking about how she's got bags under her eyes and she's not sleeping and you need to rest. And she can't rest because every time she tries, these things pop up and tell her, you don't get the rest.
Yeah.
You need to work right now. And when we get to the end of these chapters, one of the things she realizes is that they are not just here to motivate her to redeem these children. They are out for blood. They want revenge. You know, they want someone to suffer, you know, and be taken to task for the suffering that they endured. And they have decided it's going to be her.
And I appreciate her being like, and that sucks so much, but I also can't even really be mad at them about it because
they're right. They're right to want it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It brings up a really
reparations.
I was going to say, it brings up a really interesting conversation. One of the things that you find in spaces where we talk about white supremacy and anti-Black racism and all that sort of stuff, and we talk about when the conversation is framed about what is it that white people might be afraid of, one of the things that comes up over and over is that they are afraid of retribution. They are afraid that if there's a power shift, then they will be treated the way they have treated everyone else historically. Mm-hmm. There's not real evidence to support that. You know, there has never been any great big movements of
I feel
people.
Like there is in just looking at what science fiction is. Most of the time, a lot.
Well, yeah, that's their fear. Yeah, there's evidence to support that. That's their fear. Absolutely. What I mean is,
you're saying like that. There's not much evidence that would happen.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there's just never really been like, even if you like really like start scraping the barrel and start looking for like groups that want, you know, revenge or supremacy or whatever. You know, there are some like groups out there. Mm-hmm. But they're so like disparate, you know, they don't have really any capital. They're not going to make any moves that would ever threaten white people in any significant way. So it's just like it's a fear based in an understanding that you're owed some shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the reality of you actually ever getting it is pretty slim. But the OGG are like, nah.
Yeah.
We're going to get what's owed us. We're going to get it. And
their white guilt haunting a Black girl. It's a real wild ride. But sincerely, like, you know, if you start getting into her attempt to like make things right and try and stop suffering that has been like systemically baked into the way everything worked, and looking at the way that it affected things before she was even born and feeling the weight of that. Mm-hmm. And then she's attempting to like make it right in as much as she can, but still feels this constant deep, like, I am not doing enough. Like, what am I? And she kind of has a conversation later with Crocodile. What's his actual name? I forgot.
Is it Zuri?
That's the one. Thank you. When he's just like, are you content to just like kind of do this and then maybe go die? And she has to be like, well, yeah, I'm saving kids.
That'll be my legacy. That'll be enough.
But yeah, I feel like this is something that could easily begin to happen when you start to get into like activism and just feeling like even if you do a lot, and I'm not somebody who does a lot, I'm not even trying to pretend
Right.
I don't, but I could see getting my feet wet and then starting to be like, well, maybe I should just drown. Maybe that's what I should do, because
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise, what's the point? You know, there's so much.
Well, yeah, she's and I want to two things. Patrick in the chat is mentioning that the OGGs do more, makes it feel like she is suffering from sort of an inferiority complex or imposter syndrome, which I think can kind of play if you think about the idea that she has very quickly ended up in a position of great power, more than she realized she was going to have, you know? She was supposed to just be a council member, not an empress.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, that's what she is. And then she's in this position where she's going to make right generations of wrong single-handedly. And that's the other thing that's happening, too. She is so isolated.
Yeah.
She's not telling anybody else what the OG are doing to her. You know, she's not really sharing how debilitating it is. Working herself to death, it feels like, you know, between her court duties and then, you know, trying to get this her own council up and running and then preparing for this underworld thing. She just has so much on her plate, and she's not letting really anybody in.
Yeah.
On like how much she's struggling.
That is continuing to frustrate me, that
I'm so
she's
worried
listening to
about
the
her.
OGG saying she knows that they're like not a force for good, really. But when they tell her don't tell, she listens to them. And I'm like, girl, why?
I wonder.
For what reason?
I wonder, you know, and again, I stay away from finding out about the author because I don't want to get spoiled. But there's a lot about the OGG that, you know, if you take away the really like heightened supernatural aspects of it, you know, of the story, but just sort of like how they exist for Tarisai, it really does mimic in a lot of ways, like depression and self-loathing, the way you isolate, the way your depression and anxiety can convince you that you can't tell anybody because they wouldn't understand, or they would think you were crazy, or, you know,
you're already enough of a burden.
You're already,
they tell her,
you know, like, you know, it just feels really familiar in the way that your brain, in her case, they are external things, but for what I'm trying to say, the way that your brain can convince you that you're alone. No one understands what you're going through. No one could ever possibly understand what you have to do. It's just you, you know, and if you don't do it, everything will collapse. You know, it's all on your shoulders. You're the only one that can handle, you know. And I'm so worried about Tarisai. I'm so worried about her.
Yeah.
In a way that I wasn't in the first book at all. Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate it because, like, it is, like you said, kind of a shock out of nowhere that she has all this power and now she has this, like, quest that she's on. And I feel like 2 years of living anticipating this massive thing that you have to do would probably drive a lot of us kind of crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And also, I want to mention, I think it's Minya at the beginning of the chapter 17 reminding me how young Tarisai still is. Like, I really, really appreciate that reminder because it's very easy to start to think of her as like a, you know, a grown up, you know, someone with years of experience under her belt. She's not.
Yeah, she's a kid.
Still a kid. So yeah, the first chapter is them about to leave, and she ends up just finally being honest when she shares her memories and puts it all out there. And Minya responds in the way I think we all knew she would, which is what we wanted, you know, the first time they start doing this. And I was all gooey inside.
I know.
Because Tarisai says something like, oh, I'm going to miss you almost, sister, or something like that. And then Minya answers, like, I'm not going anywhere just yet. And you're just like, oh my God, it worked.
Yep.
It worked. It was and I clapped. It was very corny.
That's what I enjoy about the revelations about who's getting anointed is like the sudden Rey speaking that kind of feels like, you know, I really enjoy that aspect of it.
Yeah. I love it.
But we did kind of jump over the moment where she talks to Zuri in the Rosemary, what is it? The Rosemary Maze? Which sounds amazing, by the way. I love the smell of rosemary, and this place is supposed to be pretty like hot. And so I'm just imagining how fragrant it must be. And it's not the kind of like hedge maze that you can't see. It only comes up to like your waist because rosemary does not grow that big.
I love that detail too. Because she also, this is how it makes him look like he's a giant because everything is so only like waist high.
Yes.
I really appreciated that detail.
But this conversation, I love this. It's very loaded with like sensuality. You know, he leans toward her at one point.
I'm going to use
damn it, why does he have to smell so good?
I'm going to use my sexuality.
I really, if they do this like, you know, on Netflix the way that they claim, asterisk, I really hope that they cast somebody unbelievably hot.
He has to be super hot. The descriptions of him, it has to be like dripping right off the screen as soon as he walks on camera. Or I'm going to just say you did it wrong.
You know who I'm suddenly realizing? Like, he's too old probably. But the guy who played the love interest in the first season of Bridgerton.
Oh, that Renee something or the other?
Is that his name? Yeah, the one with the neck. That's how I think of him.
I only watched a little bit of Bridgerton. It wasn't my speed. And now there's been like a couple of spinoffs, like a whole Queen Charlotte one that was like focused on like the black people, and I think one's airing now. People are all talking about, but
that's the Queen Charlotte one, isn't it?
Maybe,
but
girl. I don't know.
I have heard that it's really good, and like, you know, because they know what happens, it's a little bit heartbreaking. But Roger Jean Page. I don't know if I'm saying that at all right, but sure. That
feels right.
But he has that sort of thing where he could pull off being like a rakish outlaw type, but also pull off being a spoiled playboy. And I feel like be believable as like an aristocrat and also as a guy who's out in the street drumming and being like, yeah, we're just going to burn everything. What?
Trying to remember exactly what he looks like, and I feel like he might be a little too light skinned. Was he fair skinned?
Is Zuri dark skinned? I thought that he was like.
I don't remember if they describe him specifically one way or the other. I have just been picturing him as being very dark skinned. But I don't know if that's
I do that
accurate.
with Jeet. Jeet is specifically described a couple of times as having like brown skin, but he's not black because he's supposed to be sort of, I think, like Indian, you know, like that kind of.
That's my take. Yeah,
I fucking picture him as black every time.
Do you?
Like they have to mention to me, and then I'm like, oh right, and sort of adjust my mental picture. But I see him as black in my head. I picture for Jeet the guy who played Eggs on True Blood.
Oh, I remember that guy.
He's like a very like sweet but big and like definitely looks strong, but you get this like wholesomeness from him, but he looks like he could handle himself, and he just fits like my mental profile of Jeet's personality. So that's who I've got in my head all the time.
I like him a lot. I wonder what happened to him.
Me too. I was thinking that the other day.
He had a TV show that but it didn't last very long. But he was like a co-star, like a TNT show. He was a co-star. He played like a athlete, and I think the gimmick was there was like a sports psychologist or something. It was like a white woman who was a sports psychologist, and it was her show. But he was like the premier athlete. Okay, that carried the show, but I don't think it lasted very long.
Every time that I think about him, though, in the books, you know, his name is Eggs in the books as well. And then there's a part where he has to be carried to a car because he has been like he passed out, and it says something like Bradley laid eggs in the back seat, and every time I get to that
is a
part,
terrible
I
sentence.
fucking crack up because I'm like, girl, your editor didn't stop you. Come on. Like,
that is
come
terrible.
on.
That should have never made it to print. He's not black in the books though, right? Because Tara isn't black in the books, and I felt like they made him specifically for her on the show.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I feel like he may have been black in the book because I don't think he was dating the girl that played the Tara character in the books. I think he was dating another girl.
Because
there are a lot more like sort of side characters that come up.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So
back to this. Ray Bear. Yes.
So she has this interaction with Zuri where she's basically like, hey, I have been inviting you to my like blue sky tent and you're not showing.
Mm-hmm.
What's up with that? And he's being all coy and he's like, well, I just wanted to see like, if you were going to force me to come, I just wanted to see how like long I could get away with it.
Yeah.
She's all offended.
Like a fucking child.
Right. She's like, this is not about forcing anybody to do anything. You're supposed to be coming to me willingly. And then he says, this is what made me start thinking about him as the crocodile. She says to him, because he's being very playful, everything's a joke, trying to keep it light. She says, why do the nobles hoard the wealth in your empire, sir?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the first time he looks a little uncomfortable. Like he doesn't know, like he doesn't have a quick little response ready for her. And it looks like she's really like caught him,
mm-hmm.
And so when she says that to him, he switches. Almost code switches, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Into like the drunken, vapid, I don't know what's going on, I'm just a playboy, persona that he's been showing at court. And when that happened in that moment, that's when my brain started to be like, yeah, I see you. I see you, sir. That's when it started to happen.
For those who are only listening, Rashawn is gesturing with her finger from one area to the other area as if she is pointing at two men.
I am pointing, pointedly pointing. But yeah, so that's when it started to like in my brain be like, that motherfucker's a crocodile. Because he just was, he just retreats into this act that covers for him so often. I don't even know if he meant to do it, but it was almost like it was an instinct. As soon as she starts to get close to something that's real for him,
Yeah.
And so then he's just like, yeah, okay, well, I'm gonna show up eventually, at one of your little tents. Like your little friends. I'll show up at one of your little tent meetings.
The chapter ends with him saying, believe me, Lady Empress, the moment you untap your full potential, your wish is my command.
Mm-hmm.
Which, what does that even mean?
Well, I was wondering, like, he is aware of the changes that she's making throughout the realm, and they talk about it too, right? About distributing the wealth, basically, is what she's attempting to do, right?
Right.
So when I read that line, I was like, because I'm already on my crocodile shit, I was like, I wonder if he is like encouraging her to continue on this path. Like,
he's like, she's not leftist enough. She's starting to toy around with socialism, but we really need her to communize.
I need you to get out here and like really do the fucking whole thing. And I have not forgotten how irresponsible he was, this crocodile character.
True. The
last time at the volcano, right? Like you're gonna raise this Alec Batu,
yeah.
For destruction, but you don't have any kind of plan B, C, or D for the small folk who are going to be just swept away in lava, because you are not a man about the details. You like so many others who I'm not going to name on this podcast. You are all about just the big show, right? And then you skedaddle and just leave the rest of the people to try to figure out what they're going to do. So, that short-sightedness, that sort of like, I'm going to raise this thing and it's going to be a big liberatory? liberation, whatever. I don't think so. But it's going to be a big like moment for all of us, a big moment of liberation. But I have not thought about
Liberative?
Maybe no, I don't think that's right either.
I'm sorry. I'm like just.
But
please continue. Sorry.
But basically, the idea that someone like this would not have thought or concerned themselves with the fine details of these big revolutionary moments, you know.
Yeah.
And that, for some reason, also tracked with the little I know of Zuri.
Yeah, that makes sense. Very much so. I feel like Zuri is. Oh, that's interesting. In the chat, Patrick says, the crocodile knows how to summon Alagbato. Maybe he knows about Tar being half Alagbato and knows about her Alagbato potential.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, because she's sharing her memories. Does everybody know about that now?
Well, she hasn't shared it with him at all because he hasn't.
She hasn't,
up.
but like,
people could
maybe
talk.
people chit chat. Yeah, you know. I'm wondering if that's out at all with them. I'm not sure. You know, based on what we saw of the memories, it's never specifically mentioned, but it would have to be part of the story to explain why she is able to be controlled by her mother, because of the fact that she is part Alagbato. Like that would be necessary to explain. So I assume everybody does know.
Yeah, she doesn't. They don't say explicitly when she starts to be honest about her memories. But I agree with you. I feel like in order to tell everybody the whole story, she has to include that part, right?
Yeah.
So
I think so.
I would even wager that maybe she included that part even when she was editing, because she was spent so much time trying to make it like she didn't have any agency. I was under the spell, you know?
Yeah.
But so yes, so that's how that one ends, with him just being like, you know, when you're ready to go 100, I'll be right here.
Interesting.
And then we move into you guys. So the next chapter, 18, it turns out that when they were doing the walk and there was the assassination attempt, and then all the Ojiji like took care of the assassin, turns out they did not stop there.
They sure didn't.
They've been busy.
Yep.
Apparently, unbeknownst to Tarisai or anyone else, these creatures have been out. I don't want to sound like I endorse this behavior, but I kind of endorse this behavior. But they have been out here squared up.
Squaring up really makes it sound like it's more of an even fight than it sounds like it was, because at one point we find out they literally ripped somebody limb from limb, which is such a horrifying image. Like, I mean, imagine not only just what's that?
That's what they did to the assassin that was on the rooftop during the walk. They like climbed up the side of the buildings and tore that motherfucker limb from limb.
An assassin. It feels different, you know. Like they're defending her. He's actively attempting to kill her, and this is apparently they're like responding to plotting, right? Mm-hmm. Like these people were all just plotting to maybe do something eventually, and so it wasn't like in the heat of a battle or anything.
It was
this guy was like out just practicing like spear thrusts, or she says, like he was out in the yard.
Yep.
And they're they look like children, and they're ripping this man into, and they come up out of the ground like
all of these families that had gotten together to conspire, you know, to deal with Tarisai because of the edicts she's got out and taking their money, and you know, rich people don't like it when you come for their money, and
they sure don't.
Behave. I'm low key like, if we could get an Ojiji or 2 or 3 just to help us out in America real quick. Not necessarily.
I would go for like Ojiji. I would go for 3 spirits shall visit you at midnight on Christmas Eve. Like any of the above? Can we just have a
Any of
moment
the
of
above.
truth where people actually see things? But
Nope. I was apparently, and I had been like sort of withdrawing from, but I'm like now re-entering because withdrawing doesn't really give me any peace.
fair.
So we got a bunch of shit going on in Florida right now. I'm not going to hijack the podcast to talk about it. You guys have Google and internet. You know what's going on.
Sure.
So a lot of the vulnerable populations of undocumented workers have just bounced.
Yeah.
Nobody is doing nothing. Construction sites empty. Fields empty. Agriculture not happening. Everybody is gone.
Yeah.
It is about to get so real for us in ways we are not even ready for, that are so overdue.
Yeah.
I know I'm not going to be able to afford strawberries this summer.
There's going to be a
sacrifice.
lot of supply line issues. And I had felt like a lot of things, the price inflation was just an excuse. Like, oh, supply line. No, they just price gouged because they felt
They
like
did.
they could get away with it. But it's looking like maybe now it's going to be for real, for real.
It's going to be for real now. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And did it to ourselves.
Yeah.
They did it to themselves, and then by extension, we all did it to ourselves. Didn't have to be like this. So yeah, maybe an OGG or 2 or 3 would not be the worst thing to happen.
All right. So the way she finds out about this,
Oh my God.
because this is really something.
It's quite a turn, right?
Yeah, they're doing one of those risings, and she is feeling very exhausted, and everything feels like pressure. So she's kind of not paying a lot of attention at what's going on. And there's a moment where somebody will, in the ritual, kneel and present your slippers, and that's sort of the end of the thing.
Yep.
And the person is kneeling, presenting them, and all of a sudden she realizes that this is Adibempe, who is the woman who brought the what's the name of the little girl, the drummer?
The griot, her name is Aduke.
Aduke, thank you. Which I have to just say, I know we talked about that scene already, but I just want to revisit the fact that this woman and her friends thought it was a hilarious joke to bring in a disfigured child who now suffers a disability due to a horrific accident and mock her and use her as a humiliation gift joke thing.
Yeah.
And like not only laugh at her disability, but also her poverty when she talks about not being like, I just really want to let it sink in that they're sitting there mocking her and how gross that is.
Yep.
And I don't feel like I really gave it enough weight the first time we talked about it.
It is such mean girl behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are sort of exaggerated circumstances, but not by that much.
No.
You know, if you've ever experienced, I know everybody's high school experience is different, especially generational, but like this is going and grabbing a very unpopular girl that you know is unpopular, who maybe, you know, doesn't know any better, or maybe is very trusting or naive, or maybe just minding her own fucking business.
Mm-hmm.
And you go and grab them and then take them to like the football players table and be like, you know,
he wants to date you.
Exactly. And then everybody has a great big laugh. And then the boy who's like, you know, like it's so gross.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really not that far fetched. Like this type of thing happens all the time.
Yeah.
But in this chapter, some things have changed. Mm-hmm. And this mean girl is here putting on slippers at the rising, shaved head. She's not wearing her fancy headpiece, you know, that was like a mark of her station and her family and her wealth.
Mm-hmm. She's looking like Tarisai a little bit. Like she's a mess.
She's a little bit of a mess. And and this is when we find out how the OGG have been exacting revenge on everybody who was plotting against her. And now all these noble families are so shook. They are sending their children, in this case, what's her name?
Adibempe.
Sending her as sort of, I don't know what you would call it. penance,
A peace
payment,
offering.
peace offering, something.
Penance feels more correct, actually.
You know?
Yeah.
They're sending their daughter to make amends for their family's decision to participate in the plot to assassinate her, and because they're also shook, right?
Yeah.
So Tarisai, meanwhile, has no idea any of this is happening. She's like, "What? What are you doing here? Why are you putting slippers on my feet? Why are you being so nice to me? Where's your fancy hat?" Like, she doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, the whole thing is like a weird buildup too, because there is, her presenting the slippers, wanting to know what's going on. This woman is shaking and genuinely has like dilated pupils. She's
terrified.
Freaking out. When Tarisai is like, "Why are you here if you're in mourning?" And she's like, "Are you sending me away?" And just starts to panic. And then she's like, "I can fold your gowns in the latest styles." And she goes to grab a piece of fabric. And one of the other women in the room is like, no, I can do it better, and like snatches it away. And then you have this little fight that breaks out where they're all trying to outdo each other. And it becomes very clear, okay, some shit is going on.
Yeah.
And finally, the whole story comes out. And it's like, what a weird way to find out that everybody was low-key planning to assassinate you together, because they're all here to apologize.
They're all together, right?
It's just such a weird situation.
It's very incriminating.
They think that she knows already, basically, because they think she sent these things.
Yeah.
So they're in their mind, they're not confessing.
They've already been caught, as far as they're concerned, right? Meanwhile, Tarisai's just like, what's happening? I love to this moment. There's a wonderful moment where Tarisai is offering to the woman like time to grieve, the fiance, and she says,
I thought you said Beyonce for a second. Oh my God. Beyonce. Yes.
My brother texted me the other night, and he was like, "This is not Beyonce related, but it's Big Show related." He texted me. He's like, "Guess where I was last night?" I'm like, "Where were you last night?"
Uh-oh.
He sent me a picture. This motherfucker went to see Janet Jackson.
Oh, shit.
I am so mad. People are going to see Bae. People are going to see Janet. I ain't going nowhere to see nobody. I am salty AF. I just want to put it on record.
Just for those who don't know, I have delightful and amazing friends who got together and got me Beyonce tickets for my birthday for this year.
Yes, we did, because you deserved it.
And I was going to buy them myself, but fucking Ticketmaster, man, they added like an extra almost $200 in fees to the ticket prices.
I should have got me a plane ticket. I probably could have got a plane ticket cheaper than a Beyonce ticket.
Probably.
And just went to the show with you.
I say that, but the fucking flight prices lately have been astronomical. So I'm going with like old pricing, but I don't know about now. But yeah, and I'm not a big concert goer, so maybe this is you paying the price for all the concerts you went to in your youth. You used up all of your concert slots in your life.
I've been to like 5 concerts in my life. Everything else are shows. Those are very different worlds. I've only been to like 3 or 4 concerts in my entire life.
Okay, tell me the difference. Genuinely asking, what is the difference between a concert and a show?
So a concert for me is a big ticket item, right? They happen at arenas, generally speaking.
Okay, so if it's not an arena, it doesn't count as a concert.
Doesn't count as For me, shows happen at bars, small venues, VFWs, churches. Tickets are never more than $10. Those are shows.
Gotcha. Okay.
Concert event. I've literally been to maybe 4. I saw Sade. I saw George Michael. I saw Genesis. Because I'm a big nerd, but I saw Genesis. And I've seen Jill Scott 3 times. So those are like my concerts. Everything else has been a show. Cost me $10. Boop, in, go to the bar, watch the show, dance, go home.
Okay. So yeah, I've done that. That was kind of the vibe for the Erykah Badu concert I went to, because it was like not a big place.
You saw Erykah Badu? That's what I'm trying to see in July.
About that.
I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, in Philly, not in Philly, in Pittsburgh. She came when I was at college.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really, really good.
Trying to make that show in July. That's what
she had this huge afro on, And then there's like a part in some song and she just plucked it off and tossed it into the audience that loved it.
I love that. She did that for the block party, the Dave Chappelle block party. You ever watch that?
I never watched that. No.
Listen, I know he's whatever he turned into be. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But the Dave Chappelle block party happened at a really beautiful moment in time, like never to be recreated. And there's a Jill Scott's there and Erykah Badu are there and the Roots are there. And the Roots play the song that, I got you know the song. What is it?
You're not helping me. So
sorry.
No.
Baby, I got you. It's the big song that they had with Erykah Badu singing a hook. But
not remembering. But it doesn't matter. Continue.
But so originally Jill Scott had the hook on that song. But when it came time to put the album out, Erykah Badu was a bigger name. Nobody knew who Jill Scott was.
Oh,
so
okay.
So Erykah is the guest on the track that was released.
Gotcha.
So they have the concert for the Dave Chappelle Block Party concert, and the Roots are playing, and Erykah singing, and then Jill comes out, and then it's Jill and Erykah singing together, and it's
that's awesome.
It's so good. And Erica's wearing a big Afro wig, and it's all windy, and she just takes it off. She's like, "Fuck it, I don't care." And she
Nice.
rips it off. It's such a great moment.
All right. So, yeah, Erykah was my one show, and the other one was Slick Rick, who I went to see in New Haven.
I never saw him. That's amazing.
The openers were 3 times as long as his performance, and they were so bad. At one point, it's like a rap group, but it's like all different races, and it seemed to be very heavy on white and Hispanic guys. But there was like 20 of them on the stage.
You know what?
And they were allegedly all part of the same group, and I was just like, why?
All right, what
is this?
We're gonna take this to a sidebar because you're describing something very specific, and I'm wondering if it's the people I used to know.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Okay, yeah, I'm very curious. I'm not sure if my memory is good enough to tell anymore, but yeah, it was very bad. Oof. But anyway, Slick Rick was there, and he sat on a throne and had his extremely hot wife come out and put a crown on his head, and that was kind of all I was there for. So
I mean, so all the noble ladies, we find out like they're all the noble families are terrified now because of the OGs that are out there, like just getting vengeance, and we have that wonderful moment where this woman talks to Tarisai, and she's like, Tarisai's like, you're in mourning for your fiance. How sad for you. And she's like, you know what? I've been thinking about it, and I didn't so much love him.
That happens a little bit later after.
Is that later?
Yeah, this happens after she gives like the instructions that she gives her.
Okay, I love that movie so much, though.
But we can talk about it. Yeah, she wanted to be him.
I wanted to be him. I wasn't so much in love with him. I wanted to be him. It's such a great moment of when you are thinking about like women and how we're trapped in a particular role because of our gender. And we sort of imagine freedom, and so we're like, oh, that dude's super hot. I want to be with him. But that's not really what it is.
Yeah.
You want the freedom that he has. You want the power that he has, the autonomy that he has. That's what's attractive to you. And it was just such an unexpected moment of clarity from this character who I didn't know much about. I was just like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I think she's on to something.
So when these women are fighting and she finds out what's going on, they keep talking and begging her not to hurt them. And this is when Tarisai again does the be quiet, and she feels the amulet heat up on her chest, and everybody shuts their mouths. And while it's still warm, she instructs Adebempe to be kind to the smallest and lowest players at court.
Find the weakest players at court. And
she says,
kind.
Just raise them up just because you can.
Yep. And we find out later on that apparently that's just what she's been doing. Because when we see her next time, she's like chilling. She's like talking to people at court, making everybody feel comfortable. And this thing that Tarisai has when she speaks through her ray that then sort of compels people. We haven't gotten a real explanation about what that is exactly, but we've seen it a couple times.
Yeah.
My question is, and this is just by nature of the way the book is written, I don't see Dio, and I don't know what his like.
That's been my question and problem with these scenes, is that these have happened, I think, almost all in front of him, and he hasn't said anything. Like, he's not noticing how immediate and total the obedience is. I feel like he would notice that.
I would not only notice it, but like, does he have the same ability? Does his ray work the same way, and he just has never had to invoke it, or does it not work that way? Like, I don't. I still have a lot of questions around what
he's
exactly.
He's not the type to walk around giving orders too much.
Maybe
so that might be part of. He just doesn't have the vibe.
Maybe
you know.
There's a conversation later on too with when they're talking about who is it? When he's talking to Tarisai about his feelings for, I think it's Ailing.
Yeah.
We find out that there's a little something happening there. He's got feelings, and Tarisai's like, she's got feelings for you too, but he's so afraid to like really ask about it. Yeah. And Tarisai is like, no, dude, it's like you gotta ask her. You have to.
His fear is the fact that he's asexual. What if she wants children and a family, and he can't give her that?
He's like, how can I ask her to give that up? I've already asked so much of her to be part of my council. How can I ask even more of that? Right? Tarisai was like, you have to ask. And it just made me think about the last chapter when we talked to Ailing a lot, and she was talking about how she'll never, ever put herself in a position to be accused of basically forcing someone to do something against their will. You know, she's just going to shut herself off because she never, ever wants to be in that position again. Yeah. And then to find out in this chapter that there is someone for her. Yeah. Like, I don't know how it's going to go, or even if it needs to go anywhere. But I really
yes,
like
it does.
It
needs to.
It needs
Come
to
on.
go somewhere. I really, really like that too.
And I wonder too, again, with like how much people know, because she's been in his head. She's in his council. Is she aware? Maybe she knows already that's how
about Dio's like sort of asexuality, you mean?
Yeah. You know?
That's a really good point.
I don't know.
He's really talking as if, no one knows this yet.
And this is sort of the thing that I forget. They can control what goes through the ray. It's not like a thing that's like, they're always in your head all the time and everything you think is always broadcast. Right. So it's possible she doesn't, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how much this stuff gets brought up when it's the emperor versus just like his council by themselves.
We find out in one of these chapters that Tarisai isn't getting council sickness anymore.
Yes.
Because of something she theorizes that between her and Dio, some sort of balance has been met. Right.
Right.
She doesn't get the council sickness anymore. And I don't know if that is the same for him. They don't talk about whether or not Dio no longer gets council sickness. So I'm a little in the dark understanding everything Tarisai is going through and whether or not Dio is experiencing a similar thing or if it's different for the two of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good question. I would just like to talk more with Dio in general.
In general, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Like, just because he's a sweet cinnamon roll character, but also I would like to compare and contrast what he's going through with what she's experiencing. So, okay, we had the like conversation here, and then we go to the moment with Minja and realizing that she is leaving, and let's see. I'm sure he'll woo the others. Any girl who survived riding through 26 lodestones can convince the Eret rulers to join. And they're basically like, we're from Songland. You don't need us. So we're going to bounce. We did the best we could. And we're not totally essential to your plan. We have our own place to run.
Right.
And she is finally realizing, between the comment that Minja makes about never getting your hands dirty and also calls her a saint.
Calls her a saint, yeah.
Yeah, it feels very like...
Yeah. Not all of us get to be noble. We don't all get to be the selfless heroine, flitting gracefully through life, adored by all. Some of us get our hands dirty. Some of us have scars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the thing that I feel like she finally realizes, they haven't seen any of the vulnerable, like, she puts it together how many other relationships she's watched where that's been the moment that things turn a corner, where somebody just kind of bears themselves and is like, here I am. And she hasn't done that. And so she goes for it. Yeah. And everything completely changes. And she is able to anoint a bunch of people. Yeah. Like in the couple of days after that.
I love the thing that like propels Tarisai to make this sort of leap is that she had a moment with her her griot, her little drum circle person, right?
Yes.
And Tarisai offers to heal her. She's got the scarring and everything. And the little girl refuses the healing, and then she says something about like, what is the point of having the story to tell if I don't have my voice? Or what is the point of having a voice if I don't remember my story? Because Tarisai's like, I can take the bad memories from you.
Yeah.
And she's like, no. Like, I want all my stuff intact. Don't take anything from me. So one of the things Tarisai thinks to herself is like, yeah, really, what is the point of having a voice if I'm not telling the whole story? And that coupled with Mignon's sort of like, oh, we can't all be saints, and you're like a goody-goody. You don't understand what it's like, for the choices I have made.
Yeah.
And then she ends up showing them. She shows them these memories without the fucking kusa leaves too. So it is like rough. It's like super rough.
I forgot she does it that way. Yeah. Detail.
Like it is violent and like unpleasant, But she just bears her soul finally. I wish she'd just done this at the beginning, but I'm glad she got to this moment. And I love that the reaction of Mignon and Deseo are both just like, oh, we understand this 100%. Like, and I think Mignon says something to her like, the guilt will get better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really sweet.
Yeah.
And then we have the next chapter where there's a little boy wanting to know how much blood there was when she stabbed Kaya. This really just turned another corner.
It's so cute, so cute. This little young man who is, he tells us that he's so heavily watched, right? He's so heavily supervised. He has not really had an opportunity to experience life on his own terms at all. Even as he's talking to Tarisai, his like handlers are just like right on the peripheral watching. So he's obsessed with like, show me the story again. Show me when you stab Deo one more time. I just want to see it. Like, I'm not weird. I just want to see it.
And she's like, dude, you were in the memory and like feeling the pain I felt.
Right.
Why do you want to feel that again? And he's literally, oh, I forgot about that.
I forgot about that part. She's like, did you saw how bad that was for me? And you just want to watch it again? He's like, I don't have a lot else going on.
But yeah, they wind up Ray speaking, and he enjoys the fact that they will be able to communicate this way and nobody will be able to tell what they're saying, so there won't be supervision in this. Like, I like that. And
then there's this older gentleman, Uriah, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Oh God. This is like the teacher, the professor. And she's just like, oh my God, this guy's droning on forever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just what she has to put up with. And she ends up, it seems like there's a genuine sort of connection, you know?
Yeah, it happens eventually, but it was weird for me because he felt so kind of like not somebody I want in my head. So thanks, but no thanks.
I love this moment. She says, I realized that the rate of my progress meant little to him. It was my potential that he was enamored with,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And eventually she gets him to race speak as well. And the last one that she does is the guy she goes shopping with.
This is so much fun. I love this guy so much.
I enjoyed this chapter. It was a lot of fun. This little old man, he's like 80 years old. And he's just like, it's fashion.
Sweaty, look it up.
And every time he's just like, oh, you think I'm silly. You think I'm foolish. You think I'm shallow. And she's just like, no. There's nothing wrong with appreciating beauty. And we find out that his realm is like famous for it, though. Like, this is what they do. They stunt on hoes. Like, that's their whole thing. And I just really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I really love that he's having her fitted for this dress, and he's like, you hate it. And she's like, well, it's not my usual style. And he bursts out laughing. It turns out it's a fucking prank. Like,
right?
He had no intention. I was just like, dude. He's just putting her on the spot and enjoying watching her squirm.
There's a line. She's like, oh, his pranks get a little tiresome, but what can you do? And they're in this like tailor's, she's getting fitted and they're having like this afternoon together.
They catch me fitted. Sorry.
And he starts having her like inspect bolts of fabric to pick like what speaks to her. And I love the thing when she's like, look, I was raised in Bikini House and also the Children's Palace. I know a test when I see one.
Mm-hmm.
I know this test. So she's looking at one bolt of fabric and it's like, whatever. But then there's another one that she's like, this is it. This is the one.
Yeah.
And they're looking at the fabric together and it starts to move. And he's watching. He's like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
It might be the real deal. Like this fabric, is for people who, what does he say? Who commune with like other dimensions or with other realms,
spirits. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's a pretty wild, like, oh, and we jumped over this though. She gets a headache.
Oh, that's right.
Realize, like, she's almost out of her body and they have to be like, are you okay? And she realizes that she's bent double.
Yeah.
And she wasn't aware that this had happened. So it's getting bad for her. And she even thinks to herself, I'm ill. Like, something's wrong.
And I won't tell anybody about it.
Yeah.
She says it right out. Like, something's wrong with me. I'm in trouble and I can't tell anybody about it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know it's not the right move. I know eventually she has to be honest with people who care about her to get help. I just want her to do it sooner than later.
Yep. Yeah, I was actually like, because there are two things that are difficult for me about this book. One, not telling anybody about the OGG. Two, like editing her memories, because they're both purposeful miscommunication that if like, I have total faith if she comes clean, it will be better for her.
Mm-hmm.
But
Agreed.
I have to sit here through it and watch her make bad decisions. And it's fine. Like, there are times where miscommunication feels like a cheap plot device. And it's like, these people just, it's a big misunderstanding.
Right.
Genuinely like afraid to say. So I get in a way, but also I was genuinely surprised at the fact that her editing her memories is resolved before she tells anybody the truth about the OGG. I thought that would come first. And eventually that would like sort of lead to her realizing she needs to be honest with the memories.
I thought the Ojiji would be much easier for her to confess than the fact that she was withholding information. So I agree with you. I was surprised it went the other way, because she ends up telling, I don't want to say telling the truth, but she ends up being more honest with her memories with everybody. Yes. And it doesn't seem like there's that much pushback. No. Everybody is just kind of like, oh, okay, well, now that you're telling me the truth, that is enabling me to actually love you. It actually moves her, like, her agenda forward. There's not a lot of, I thought there would be a lot more of, I can't believe you were manipulating your memories all this time. Mm-hmm. And we really didn't get a lot of that. But the Ojiji thing, she just is not sharing with anybody. And I guess that's a testament to how deep they've gotten into her brain to convince her that she's alone in this. Yeah. That this she can't share. That this no one else will be able to understand or help her with.
The moment here she sees the kid and like just says, "Can't you see I'm trying?" The child shrugged and disappeared. And there's something about the fact that the kid shrugs. Yeah. It really hammers home how it doesn't matter what she does. That's not even it. Like, but she's
That's not why they're showing up.
That. Yeah. She sees it in a way, but she won't like admit what that means. Yeah.
She's still very, and this is going to sound shitty, but I don't mean it to be shitty, you guys. But sometimes our own ego gets in the way, Mm-hmm. And she has, by circumstance and by sort of experience, but she has really convinced herself, and the Ojiji are not helping, they have also convinced her that it really is up to only her. Yeah. To fix everything. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of ego tied into that, Yeah, that's true. No one person can be the answer for the whole of the things that are wrong,
Mm-hmm.
We might...
Harry Dresden syndrome. That's always who I think of with this stuff. That convo with Michael, who's just like, "You fucking idiot."
But yeah, it's true though. It's 100% true. Yeah, and I don't know. She has gotten her desire to make it right mixed in with this idea that she's the only one that can make it right. Yeah. That she can do it alone. And then these things that are haunting her are just sort of reinforcing that same sort of flawed logic that it's only her, that she can do it by herself. No one else can do it,
It's kind of funny too, because she talked when she has a conversation with Dio earlier about Eiling and how he feels about her, and he doesn't want to ask. She's like, "Well, if you don't ask, you're taking the choice away from her." So she's like very aware of it in his situation, but she's not letting anybody else make their own choices.
And isn't that what we do?
Oh yeah,
right.
We're great at telling other people how to live their lives.
Yep. So she's out eventually with this older gentleman. I love this guy, this old man. He's the best. And he's taking her shopping, and they're looking at fabrics, and they're having like a nice day, even though she does get overcome with headaches at one point.
I like the detail that the tailor that they're at was not prepared for like this nobleman escorting the Empress to fucking just show up.
They just show up at the mall. People were like, "You couldn't let us know you were coming. This is kind of a big deal. We would have shut some shit down for you. Put some curtains up."
She needs a dress. Oh my god. But yeah, I really felt for her, just as somebody who has been in service, when it's like, somebody like from corporate just shows up and you're like, "Look, oh god." Anyway.
And they look at the different fabrics, and they have the moment with the one that she's like really drawn to. And then things just kind of go left.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. We have
they get yelled at for fast fashion.
That's kind of what happened, right? Stop stopping to shine.
But I'm a poor.
I can only shine. I need to make my $20 buy me 5 shirts. Where else can I go? But,
I saw this fucking tweet the other day where somebody was like, some people would be on like a $5,000 vacation wearing Shine like $12 dresses, and I'm like,
so
and
how do you think you had the rest of the money for the vacation?
Fucking literally, that's how. I'm like, who's checking my tags? Who fucking cares? I look good. It's fine. People are they will find anything to try and belittle other people and just get over it. Everybody, I'm wearing Shine.
Some guys talk about struggle vacations. Bitch, if you on vacation, you won. You got to take a vacation. What are you fucking talking about? Oh, you want to be on a struggle vacation? The fuck?
What does that even mean?
When you go on vacation, but I guess you still drive like a 1988 Honda, or you live in an apartment and you're going on vacation.
So
like
you don't have to wait until you have achieved a certain level of wealth before you get a break.
You don't get to go on vacation until you have a house and a real nice car and like a fat 401k, and anything else is just a struggle vacation, I fucking guess. Because we hate poor people, and like it's a fucking flex to like dump on poor people, I guess.
I don't get it, man. Truly. I was thinking about this today. I was listening to a Snapped episode. Sorry, everybody. I know I talk about them a lot. There's a point where a woman is talking about how like she liked him because he was stable and had like a good job and a nice car. And I was like, man, I have literally never given any shits about the car, man. Because I always, and maybe this is just because of my age when I was doing a lot of dating, but I was always like, it's probably not even his money. Like his dad bought him a car. Who fucking cares, you know? And it didn't matter, you know, maybe nowadays it would feel different. I mean, at least have a car. That's, I guess, my main thing is like,
I don't even ask for that.
you live in the city. If where I'm living, if you don't have a car, I'm not even going to see you. So somebody's got to do something. I'm not riding a bike.
Oh my god!
I get one of those little rickshaws and have the dogs pull me like we were looking at those videos that one time. The Mad Dog Lady of Denison. A whole Facebook page dedicated to me. Decorate my little rickshaw for the holidays. Sounding better and better. I gotta admit, I might do this.
Oh shit.
I'm just picturing now. I'm like, I could dress in like a really cool like Halloween costume and put little like matching costumes on the dogs.
You could.
And then it would be like a whole coordinating thing.
Who's gonna stop
It'd be
you?
pretty good. The police can't stop you. They might.
Dogs would be very happy for the activity.
They would.
They absolutely would.
I put them in little like skeleton costumes. So they'd be like skeleton dogs, and I would maybe be a skeleton lady.
The kind of skeletons that glow in the dark, like you put them like, and then when you go out at night, they're all like fluorescent green or whatever the fuck.
I like it. Yeah. And I'd be like a skull lady, but I'd have a really cool top hat and like a decayed gown.
Listen, this is all happening together.
I feel like it works. Yeah. I could be Santa at Christmas.
You could do all
and they could be reindeer.
Listen, jot it down. Jot it down so you don't forget.
I need a rickshaw. You saw how expensive those shits were, though.
Those things were so expensive.
Oh my god, you guys. We were talking thousands of dollars. Anyway, sorry. Tangent. So they get yelled at for buying from Shine. And it is a fucking bloodbath,
literally. And I love to Tarisai. She gets like her spidey senses are tingling. She realizes that something is up, and she like grabs. I think the gentleman she's with is named Quasi, and she like tries to get him to the ground to be safe before this giant demonstration.
She's so
takes place.
Sweet, just she looking really out for him. He's a pro man. Relax.
And it's a one of those sort of demonstrations for like shock value. Right. have all these barrels of blood. They just dump out over the merchants and everybody that's shopping. So everybody is just covered in all this disgusting blood, and there's mayhem. It is dangerous because people start freaking out and stampeding, and some people get trampled. So it's not that it's not dangerous. It's just not the type of sort of like assassination attempt.
No, it's a demonstration.
You know? It's like PETA when they show up at the red carpet and they throw like red paint on people wearing fur, right? It's that kind of energy, but still a little dangerous. And she gets separated from Quasi. People are going like nuts trying to be safe. And the crocodile is speaking to the crowd. And then, again, like Tarzan, swoop.
Swooping.
Someone swoops in out of the left frame, comes in, grabs her up by the waist, and then disappears to the right. And you're reading and just like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, and he says, what is it? Thank Am, my dear Empress. I was beginning to think you'd never force me to do anything. Mm-hmm. And then he takes off his mask, and guess who, everybody?
Guess who it is? It's this motherfucker. So, I just, like I said at the beginning of this, I don't know what to do with this because she needs her 12, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the crocodile, even though it might be a little bit childish and short-sighted, that he is sort of ideologically in line with what Tarisai wants for the realm, right?
He's a little confused, but he in the spirit.
Right? But like she can't anoint him because his secret is he's the crocodile, and if he's anointed, everybody's gonna, how do you or maybe she can and they can put it behind a paywall. I don't know.
Got a Patreon for the crocodile. Revolutions take money, kids. Gotta figure it out.
So I'm just like super, super curious where they go from here. I know she's going to be angry because should mention, and this came up at the beginning of these chapters, because of having to deal with what the crocodile is doing throughout the realm, all of Tarisai's council siblings are out trying to mitigate, the damage that he's doing. So he has caused some like significant disruption. Mm-hmm. Even though we learned that she doesn't suffer from council sickness, her people are still spread and they're away from home and they're dealing with these challenges. I think a specific mention is made. Someone is somewhere dealing with like floods because, So he has instigated some very dangerous situations, right? Like raising all these alabatu and not being concerned with what happens to people that are on the ground in those areas, right? Because he is like a Bernie bro.
Yeah.
It's all like good to talk about revolution and sticking it to the man.
He's got the energy of like an influencer where he wants to do the thing so that he can have a really good shot of like the volcano exploding behind him for his Insta.
Yep.
And, do a little TikTok of his chant.
Right.
And then he's
going to disappear. Like literally that chapter we met him before the volcano, he like pulled the curtain up and then like disappeared behind it. Like it was gone.
Flash of light, vanished.
So I'm really super curious what happens next. Now that she knows who he is, because again, I feel like she's going to be sympathetic to what he's trying to accomplish, but she's not going to be on board with his tactics because they're so reckless.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I'm also like, well, am I just like a fucking bootlicker? I'm worried about like logistics and whether things are done well.
You're not just trying to tear the system down so that you can live in rubble. You're trying to tear it down so that you can make room for a new thing. Right. And if nobody's worried about the new thing, then you just have straight anarchy, and I'm not interested in that.
Nobody wants that.
Anarchy is
Not in this country. Not the way
always
these
going to
people
turn
act.
back into fucking capitalism is really what it comes down to for me. It's always going to turn into everybody, like every man for himself, doing whatever they need to do to exploit other people.
Because eventually when people get right down to it, what they want for themselves is just the ability to be like a capitalist. Like, they don't want to destroy the system. They want to be at the top of whatever system is in place. It's the same sort of thing when you talk about like, you don't want to replace white supremacy. You just want to be on top of the pyramid. You're not interested in really dismantling it. You just want the privileges and the benefits of the people who are already at the top. Yeah.
Oh, people. We're really messy.
We just keep doing the same shit over and over. And we're always so surprised. I don't understand why the world is the way it is. It's a huge mystery. Where did we go wrong?
I say this with this disdain for the world as if I don't live my like microcosm of a life in that exact same way. Where I do dumb, stupid shit over and over again. And then I'm like, oh my God, I just don't feel very good. Oh my God, I'm getting fatter and can't do things anymore that I used to be. It's a real mystery. Like
this conversation.
Like I fucking don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
Come on.
I don't know why I'm so tired all the time. Oh, I only had Skittles to eat today. It's a giant mystery. Well, I feel like shit. Who could have guessed that only eating Skittles isn't healthy?
You guys, I would like to really mention that this is not an exaggeration of like Rashawn's general diet.
Let's not talk about Rashawn's diet. We've all heard about this before. It's enough.
My diet is it's on the other end of things where I'm like, my meals sound over the top enough that Rashawn says things like, who eats like that?
It's true.
Oh, man.
I'm always like, what? How many courses? You could what? What?
You put cheese on that part too? Yes, I did, ma'am. I will not be judged. So yeah, that's the end of the chapter.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. I think this is another break too, because we go to part 4. Like she has a book broken up. So I don't know. I don't know, guys. If I'm not mistaken, she only has these 2 books out at print right now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if she has a third planned, so I don't know if this book is going to wrap up the story or if it ends with like waiting for the next book to happen. But I feel like we're about halfway through this book.
Are we? I thought we were further. Yeah, no, you're right. 21? Just over half, according to my Kindle percentage, 57%.
Yeah, so things are going to start moving, and they're going to start moving faster, I imagine. And I just don't know what's in store. I have so many questions. The reveal with the crocodile, now that she's got her council happening, what's going on with Dio, what's going on with Ojiji. Do I get to see her go to the underworld in this book, or is that just something that's off page? Like, I don't know. I kind of want to see it, but I feel like there's not enough time left. So maybe that doesn't happen. I don't know.
You know who I keep thinking about? Wu In. What's he up to? She brings him up a couple times because at one point, Zuri says, you're going to go to the underworld and you are almost certainly going to die.
She was like, damn, somebody said it harsh right to my face.
Yeah.
I know people were thinking
like, well, Wu In went and he came back. Well, Wu In was able to like live through it. She keeps like reminding herself. And I'm like, yeah, what about him? Why aren't you asking his advice?
She thinks about the other little girl too. The UN girl. The little,
yes.
Right? Like, she also came back.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know. They are in Oluwan City, and Wu In is home, like right outside of Songland, right? In that cave where she left them.
Yeah.
I don't think he's allowed to be there while the sister is there, right?
I don't really know how that works.
And I don't know if allowed is the right word, but what I mean is there's so much contention, and
that he wouldn't. Yeah,
it would make things even more tense.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait
don't
to see
know.
what happens next. That's all I have to say.
Yay!
I can't wait. I hope
Well-
that she tells somebody about what she's been fighting so that she can get some help with the Ojiji. I just want her to tell one person. Please.
Yeah, there's a point at which she wakes up in the middle of the night and starts working because it's the only way to like drown them out.
Yeah.
And
Dio wakes
Dio, yeah, he kind of says something like, "We should bring you to priest," because he's guessing that's what it is.
Yeah.
And they really ramp up their fucking like don't tell right then. And I'm like, oh, interesting reaction to the suggestion of a priest. Just saying.
Like I do. I want. She's being haunted, and I just. There's more to it than what I am already thinking, but I just don't have the details.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just, children redemptors that are demanding revenge or sacrifice or justice. There's something else, but I can't put my finger on it. But if I were to discover later in the book that the Ojiji haunting her aren't organic, that it is someone purposefully doing that to her, I wouldn't be surprised. But I just can't make heads or tails of it just yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we'll see. Hopefully I'll see. Hopefully. Just, because if this book ends with no answers and there's not a third book done, I'm going to be a little salty.
Yeah, we'll see.
Patrick.
Being unspoiled as well, I'm trying hard to read clues from Natasha's face. You're too good at this.
Isn't it frustrating, Patrick? It is. I'm so glad Patrick understands my shoes. It is really frustrating. She doesn't give anything away.
It's so funny too because this is going to be coming out later. I don't think Miles listens to this show. Miles, if you're listening, don't listen for the next 2 minutes. Skip 2 minutes. I'm just going to give you a second to skip those minutes. Okay, you're skipping. So, you know that there's a part in True Blood where it is revealed. Actually, I don't know if other people who are unspoiled on True Blood are going to be, or not True Blood, but the Suki books. Maybe I shouldn't say this spoiler. I won't say it. Miles, you can unskip the skip. But suffice to say, he said something in the very first recording about Bill Compton, and I kind of did a camera looky because he was looking away and down at his book, and somebody in the Discord was like, "Oh my god, the look that you get," and I was delighted because I didn't even really do it on purpose. I wasn't trying to be entertaining. I was just kind of "Oh my god, did he just figure it out?" A moment, and he happened to be looking away. And so that makes me think Patrick, was there anybody else in the chat who was unspoiled and saw me make that face and is trying to figure out what it means? That didn't occur to me. I'm just purely trying to keep things from Miles, but I am also, if people are reading along, I have to do that for them as well. So I should keep that in mind when he's not looking at the camera. Maybe I shouldn't be so expressive in the face. I don't know. That's dangerous.
You can't help what your face does.
My face is, and that's not just because of the facial twitch, everybody. Smell, Anyway, so we don't have any new patrons for me to welcome this week, which is terribly, terribly sad.
Oh,
everybody, become a patron, support the show, get access to all kinds of goodies. So much in the back catalog.
We would love to have you here with us.